I do feel like with the name Rapinoe, there does come a certain expectation for greatness. I put pressure on myself. I don't know if the outside world does, but I feel like with the weight of the name, I put pressure on myself to do great work and to make sure that I'm making an impact in my community. My name is Rachael Rapinoe. I am the founder and CEO of Mendi. I'm a twin, definitely an athlete, an entrepreneur, a wellness advocate. I am a community builder. I definitely get mistaken for her quite a bit, which is always puzzling to me because she's usually has like pink or purple or blonde hair. And then oftentimes I don't know that she has a twin. So they're like pleasantly surprised when I say, yes, we are related and I'm her twin. My sister is one of the funniest people I know. She's so comfortable being the center of attention and just like kind of mucking it up and making everyone laugh. And I think when people meet me, they expect that from me. And I think oftentimes they're a little bit taken back by like how much quieter I am. Being related to Megan, I mean, it's a gift. It's been wonderful. She's my twin, my other half. She's really like the closest person to me and has been ever since we were very, very little. She's undeniably my best friend and my go-to for all things. My journey in the entrepreneurial world has been interesting. I was an athlete and I played collegiately, I played professionally abroad. I had a lot of injuries. And after I was done playing, I honestly they call it the first death when you retire. And it was really hard for me to figure out what to do post-playing, where I could find something that I felt like I was good at and I was passionate about it and I felt like I could make a difference. I sort of just had an epiphany that like, if I want to live a certain life, I'm probably gonna have to create it for myself. And so that really is the reason why I decided to start my first business. This is where the magic happens. We're a hemp CBD, so shipped to all 50 states. We have our no THC line, so that's our black line. And then we have our full spectrum line here, which is full spectrum hemp, all 113 cannabinoids. So we have a full suite of recovery products. It's really just head to toe, full body recovery. We design products specifically for pain relief, stress relief, to fight fatigue, and then to help people with sleep. That's kind of the building blocks of recovery essential. I grew up in the just say no to drugs era, especially with cannabis. Cannabis was just so stigmatized. It wasn't accessible. It wasn't a product that people were talking about in terms of like wellness and just recovery. I think that term has sort of taken on a new shape in today's age, especially with women. I think like self-care has been around for a long time. And when we thought of self-care growing up for women, it was like going to the salon and getting your nails done and getting your hair done and getting massages, which is great. But I think now in terms of wellness, we're talking about like mental wellness, we're talking about emotional wellness, physical wellness. I think it's become more accessible and affordable for people to deal with the pain and the traumas that they have. My family has struggled with a lot of mental illnesses and both physical and emotional pain, generational trauma, like many families have. My brother's a heroin addict. He started with pills, with opiates, and then it eventually kind of led into some more, serious and harsher drugs. Seeing the toll that it took on his life and knowing what I know now about the power of hemp and cannabis, I just wish that someone would have told my family. I wish that we had the education and the access to it to try and combat probably the mental health and issues that he was going through. For me, the only thing that really helped kind of deal with the stress and anxiety that I was feeling as a kid was sports. It was like getting out and moving and playing outside and playing with my teammates and playing with Megan. And then I just sort of like had this love for biology and human anatomy, and I just really became like connected in a way with my body during my years at the University of Portland that sort of like catapulted me into a career in health and wellness. I had a lot of different injuries. I've blown out my knee twice. I've had an ankle surgery, so I have lots of different surgeries. From the age of 21 to 26, I was prescribed more opiates than anyone probably ever should at that age, especially someone coming from a history of drug and alcohol abuse in their family. Once I discovered the power of hemp and cannabis-based products, I just realized that like athletes need to know what this stuff does to their body. They need to have healthier solutions. Over here, we have our best-selling Salve Stick, which is a topical, plant-based pain relief inflammation remedy. It's got like a cooling effect, so you can really do it pre or post-workout. Pre-workout, I would recommend our massage oil here because it has a heating element in it to tight muscles or joints, tendons, ligaments, this is gonna heat them up a little bit. And then the gummies are my go-to post-workout recovery. I mean, there's lots of different ways that cannabis can be used and hemp can be used as like a full body recovery tool. I think the problem was that there was just no brand that was really speaking to athletes and also really celebrating like a local, transparent sourcing story. So that really was the reason why I wanted to start Mendi, was just to create a wellness brand and really transparent, high quality products that were plant-based, that were good for people's bodies, and just make it accessible for them. Once an athlete, always an athlete. So for me, sport has always and probably will always remain such a big part of my life. And I think just play in general. I'm competitive. So I'm out, you know, constantly trying to like do pickup basketball games, tennis games. I just played in the soccer tennis tournament last week. And I work out quite a bit. I like to push my body. I like to feel fatigued. I like to feel like, you know, my muscles being sore. I have my regiment. I'm 37 and, you know, I ain't getting any younger, so I got to make sure that I'm moving and, you know, doing all the things that keep me healthy and strong. I can say without a doubt that if it wasn't for my experience of being an athlete and just like the highs and lows of it, all the failures, honestly, like being an entrepreneur, you are going to fail over and over and over and over again. And the key to the whole thing is to just stay in the game. That's really it. It's to just stay in the game and don't give up. And that really is like what being an athlete is. When we talk about greatness, it is something that is slow cooked and it is something that doesn't happen overnight. It's hard. Like Megan is so successful and she's so smart and so driven and, you know, has done all the things. I admire her and I want, you know, her to admire me as well in the work that I'm doing. Her success has challenged me to continue to try and reach new heights and to really just not be complacent and push myself. It's hard to pick one moment that, you know, where I'm just so proud of my sister. Most recently, she was just awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and we were lucky enough to be able to go to the White House and celebrate that with her. There's a lot of moments where I'm very proud of her and where she's just exceeded any, you know, level of expectation we could have ever had, but I would say that's probably, you know, is the top of the list. I think I am naturally motivated, but it doesn't, you know, hurt having a sister like Meg who's just constantly pushing the boundaries and really just like reimagining a new world that's brighter for everyone. It's funny, I have always been like an old soul. I really have always been like just someone who's like a little bit more, I don't want to say a grandma, but like I definitely am an old soul. The story of the turtle and the hare just kind of really resonates with me, how like the hare is really fast and gets really distracted and kind of wants to get to the finish line, but ultimately lacks the focus or whatever you want to call it. And the turtle is sort of like trucking along and eventually like wins the race. And I think for me, I know that doesn't sound very sexy, but that really is my approach. I love ancient Chinese medicine and I love wellness and I love just like creating products and services that increase people's quality of life, and that takes time. And I just slowly like chipping away and just kind of being like diligent and persistent in this journey that I'm on. But I hope to be remembered as someone who built a great company, not because I did it the fastest, but because I did it the right way. And I really was like thoughtful and sincere in my approach. You know, I have to say, like, I'm so proud to be a female queer-led company in a very straight male-dominated industry. I mean, most industries are very, you know, straight male-dominated, but especially the hemp and cannabis industry, it sadly pushed a lot of marginalized groups out. I think representation matters, and I'm really proud to be at the helm of Mendi, and I hope to make a change. I hope to be around for a long time and just sort of do my part in making sure that 50 years down the road, this industry is accessible for all.